He walked past her Barrett 50 and froze at a sniper badge no one believed could exist. Fort Iron Vale's armory buzzed with the usual rhythm of inspection. Soldiers broke down carbines, bolts, optics, nothing unusual. General Marcus Donovan moved like clockwork, catching smudges and missed steps, until he stopped dead at the far bench. Before we dive in, sound off in the comments where are you watching from, your city and your country. And if military stories of hidden heroes inspire you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next mission. A lone figure sat there, hands moving with surgical calm over a Barrett M107 50 BMG, and on her chest, small, unassuming, was a badge etched with 4 words that didn't belong in reality. 3 150-meter confirmed kill. Donovan blinked hard. He'd seen legends push 2 clicks. But this 2 miles, it shouldn't exist. The soldier never looked up. She worked the rifle with fluid precision. Every pin, spring, and scope lens treated as if the steel itself breathed. To anyone else, it was maintenance. To Donovan, watching from the shadows, it was ritual. Her name tag read Staff Sergeant Aria Kane. In rumor, she was Phantom Eye. In record, almost no one. The Barrett wasn't just her weapon, it was her constant. 32 pounds of steel and recoil, polished daily. Like survival depended on it. Perhaps it did. Donovan's chest tightened. He knew limits. He'd taught them, but the numbers stitched on her chest tore them apart. He forced his voice steady. Carry on, Sergeant. Kane glanced up, nodded once, and went back to work. No flinch, no shift. As if a general's shadow meant nothing to her. That, more than the badge, unsettled him. And then he saw the rest of her uniform patches and pins he couldn't place. Some NATO, others stranger. He leaned in, voice low. That badge, explain it. Her hands stilled for the first time. Calm eyes met his. Sir, the shot was witnessed, logged, classified, but it happened. Her tone was clipped, like range data, not the recount of the longest kill in military history. Behind Donovan, Major Ramirez nearly dropped his tablet. Donovan straightened. Sergeant Kane, I want your full record on my desk tonight, and I want to know how a human being pulls a trigger at 2 miles. Kane's reply was steady. Sir, much of my record is restricted above your clearance, but if you wish I can explain what it takes to do the impossible. Her file looked routine until NATO, covert ops, and a 3 150-meter badge lit up the screen. General Donovan folded his arms while Major Ramirez scrolled. Lines of text reflected in his aide's wide eyes. Staff Sergeant Aria Kane, top sniper school graduate, record-breaking precision, deployments with units that don't officially exist. Donovan glanced at her, still calm, still working her rifle like none of this mattered. He stepped closer, voice sharp. Kane, explain that shot. 3 150 meters doesn't happen. She met his gaze. Sir, at that distance, wind, density, Earth's rotation, every factor calculated, accounted for. You wait until all align, then you fire. Her tone was flat, like she was describing the weather. Donovan pressed. That's theory. Execution, Kane's voice cooled. Execution is hours of stillness, trust in the rifle, and the patience to take one shot or none. The Barrett, paired with NATO optics and ballistic computers, can reach farther than most believe. But equipment doesn't make the kill. Discipline does, Ramirez whispered. This is beyond conventional training. Donovan leaned closer. Tell me about the mission. Her face hardened. Classified. What I can confirm, NATO observers logged it. The target fell. Hostages lived. Ramirez scrolled further, then stopped. General, entire pages blacked out, and a codename Phantom Pro. He swallowed as the screen blurred into redaction blocks. Donovan's jaw locked. Bureaucracy wasn't going to cage the truth. Then tell me the technicals. How do you even see at that range? Kane extreme magnification optics, laser rangefinders, AI ballistics. You can see beyond what most believe possible. Donovan's voice dropped. How long did you hold? 3 hours. 45 minutes, she said. Every factor checked. Only then the trigger. Ramirez exhaled. 4 hours. For one shot. She corrected softly. For the shot. Donovan's stare hardened. Enough theory. You will show me. Not tell me, show me. Aria slid the Barrett's bolt home. The metallic snap cracked the silence. Then you'll need a range longer than this base can offer. General. Theory was one thing, but Donovan demanded proof, and proof meant pulling the trigger. The armory had grown silent after Aria Kane's explanation. General Marcus Donovan wasn't the kind of man to be dazzled by talk. He needed to see results, steel on target, not theory in the air. Kane, he said, his voice sharp. I want a demonstration. I want to see what your training and that Barrett can actually do. Aria hesitated. Demonstration shoots weren't just about firing. They required range facilities, safety protocols, authorization from command. One mistake and careers ended. Sir, with respect, she replied evenly. A live demonstration at extreme range requires months of preparation. The logistics alone, Donovan cut her off. I'll handle the authorization. You handle the shot. He turned to Major Cole Ramirez. Coordinate with range control. Whatever she needs, targets, equipment, safety nets, make it happen. Ramirez frowned. General, the farthest range at Fort Iron Vale tops out at 1,200 meters. If she requires 3,000, we'll need off-base clearance, other installations, NATO cooperation. Donovan didn't blink. Then make the calls. I want to see what's possible. Aria finally set the rifle down. Her hands folded over the receiver. Sir, if you truly wish to observe, I recommend beginning at 1,200 meters. It will establish baseline precision without breaching safety parameters. Donovan studied her, then nodded. Very well, 1,200 meters. But this is only the beginning. 2 days later, Fort Iron Vale's extended range facility lay bathed in morning light. Targets were placed exactly at 1,200 meters, 3/4 of a mile. For Donovan, it was already beyond anything he had personally witnessed. His staff gathered with binoculars and notebooks, NATO officers murmuring with interest. They had heard the rumors of Phantom Eye. Now they would see if the legend breathed. Aria Kane arrived without fanfare. Her Barrett M107 rode in a hard case, alongside optics, weather sensors, and a compact ballistic computer. She worked in silence for nearly 2 hours, assembling a firing station that looked more like a science lab than a shooting lane. Finally, she spoke. General, target set at 1,200 meters, weather optimal, minimal wind, visibility clear. I'm prepared to demonstrate. Donovan lifted his binoculars, curiosity sharpening into focus. Proceed. Aria settled prone, tucking the massive Barrett into her shoulder. She didn't touch the trigger yet. Instead, she began measuring wind speed, direction, multiple points along the corridor. She narrated softly. Temperature differentials, air density shifts, all must be factored. Ramirez leaned closer, whispering to Donovan, General, this is more calculation than marksmanship. Donovan shook his head. No, this is marksmanship. Aria tapped into her handheld ballistic computer, entering the environmental data. Numbers danced across the small display, spitting out a solution. She adjusted her optics, fine-tuned the scope's elevation, dialed windage, then silence. She pressed cheek to stock, one slow breath at a time. Her finger rested near the trigger but didn't commit. Seconds stretched into a minute. The onlookers shifted uncomfortably. The weight of anticipation thickened the air. Ballistic solution confirmed. Aria said quietly, ready to engage. Donovan's knuckles whitened on the binoculars, every eye fixed on the target. The Barrett thundered. The muzzle blast slapped the air like a hammer. Shockwave rolling across the range, even with hearing protection. Men flinched. A heartbeat later, The range safety officer called out impact. Center mass. Binoculars rose in unison. Donovan himself confirmed the round had punched the heart of the target. A precise hit at 1,200 meters. Gasps rippled through the observation line. What Kane had described wasn't theory anymore. It was reality. Ramirez exhaled, his voice half awe, half fear. If she can do that here, imagine what 3 kilometers looks like. Donovan lowered his binoculars slowly. For the first time, he realized he wasn't just looking at an exceptional soldier. He was staring at the edge of modern warfare itself, where human will and advanced technology fused into something devastating. He turned back to Kane. That was impressive. Sergeant, but you claim you can triple that distance. I want to know how. Aria rose to her knees. The massive rifle cradled effortlessly in her arms. Her eyes met the general's, calm and unshaken. Then, "Sir," she said, voice steady as stone, "prepare a range that can handle the impossible." 1,200 meters was only the warm-up. 1,200 meters was impressive, but Donovan wanted the truth about the shot that rewrote history. The Barrett's recoil had barely faded before the range safety officer's voice carried down the line, impact center mass, through his binoculars. General Marcus Donovan confirmed it himself. A clean hole, dead center at 1,200 meters for most snipers. That would be a career-defining triumph. For Staff Sergeant Aria Kane, it was little more than proof of concept. Donovan lowered the binoculars slowly. "Impressive, but you claim you've done this at 3 times the distance." Kane calmly ejected the spent casing. Voice even. "Yes, sir, the fundamentals don't change at 3,150 meters. Though, sensitivity rules everything. Wind, temperature, even Earth's spin become decisive. By then, the bullet is in flight long enough for entire weather systems to shift." Donovan exhaled, realizing what she described wasn't just a long shot, it was the edge of human and technological possibility colliding. His curiosity hardened into obsession. He turned to Major Cole Ramirez. "I want her complete record, not the sanitized file, the whole thing, classified or not." Kane finally looked up, her face unreadable. "Sir, parts of my record are compartmentalized. Access was mission-specific. Even generals weren't automatically cleared." Donovan's tone was iron. "Then I'll get cleared." Within a week, he bulldozed through layers of Pentagon red tape, leaning on favors most officers would never dare to call in. The file that landed on his desk didn't read like a soldier's career. It read like fragments of legend stitched together in shadow. Aria Kane had been flagged in basic training. Her marksmanship scores eclipsed every metric her instructors had ever seen. Before graduation, she was diverted into programs few soldiers knew existed, schools hidden under innocuous names, drilling her in ballistics, meteorology, reconnaissance, covert infiltration. She trained in NATO's Extreme Long-Range Engagement course, learning to compute ballistics in her head faster than most devices could process. Step by step, she had been shaped into a weapon built around a single battlefield. Truth, no target is beyond reach. Her deployments stretched across Afghanistan, the Baltics, North Africa, and then whole sections vanished behind black ink. Entire operations wiped from the page. Ramirez frowned over Donovan's shoulder. "General, there's a code name repeating here, Phantom something, but every reference is redacted." Donovan flipped another page, and there, buried like an afterthought, was the note: 3,150-meter engagement confirmed. It had happened during a black site hostage crisis. The captor fortified himself in mountain terrain, unreachable by infantry or drone. Clock ticking, options gone. Kane lay prone for nearly 4 hours, charting every shimmer of heat, every whisper of wind. One trigger squeeze and the hostage-taker fell. Dozens of lives spared. An international crisis quietly erased. And that was only one entry. Dozens more described the impossible reduced to routine whenever no one else could deliver. Kane was sent. She wasn't simply a sniper, she was a solution. Donovan sat back, stunned. "This isn't a soldier," he muttered. It's a strategic weapon. A new voice cut in. General Helena Cross of NATO Command, seated across the classified briefing table. You're right. Marcus, that's why you didn't know. Assets like Kane aren't advertised. Donovan's jaw tightened. Why isn't she leading higher-level missions? Why bury a capability like this? Cross's gaze was cool. Because her value isn't tactical, it's strategic. She's deployed when conventional options fail, and when failure is not an option. Donovan leaned forward, voice low. Then tell me, General, what kind of war needs a sniper who kills at 2 miles? Cross didn't answer. Instead, she slid a folder across the table. Bold black letters stamped the cover Phantom Protocol. The world saw just another soldier cleaning a rifle. Donovan now knew better. He'd seen the edge of human possibility. General Marcus Donovan walked out of the classified briefing with a weight pressing on his chest. For decades, he thought he understood the outer limits of war artillery range, drone surveillance, special forces reach, but now he realized there existed another tier entirely hidden, silent, operating in shadows. He pictured Staff Sergeant Aria Kane back at Fort Iron Vale, methodically cleaning her Barrett M107. She wasn't chasing ribbons. She wasn't seeking rank. She was preparing for missions that might never be acknowledged, but could decide the fate of nations. What kind of mission needs a sniper who kills at 2 miles? Donovan had asked. General Helena Cross's answer was simple: the kind where failure is not an option. In the weeks that followed, Donovan's perspective shifted. He began to see the quiet professionals differently, the soldiers who never raised their voices, who never boasted, but carried the heaviest burdens. Kane was one of them. Every day, her ritual was the same: disassemble, clean, reassemble, inspect. To others, it looked obsessive. To Donovan, it became clear this wasn't habit. It was readiness, sharpened to perfection. 6 months later, Kane was gone. Deployment orders arrived under clearance levels even Donovan couldn't breach. Only one word reached him: Phantom Protocol. Whispers filtered back weeks later. A hostage situation in the Balkans, infantry blocked, drones blinded, diplomacy out of time. Then the shot, one bullet, across impossible distance. The crisis ended without a single Allied casualty. Donovan never saw the official report, but he didn't need to. He already knew whose finger had pulled the trigger. Today, Aria Kane still serves. Her record remains sealed, her missions untelevised, but her impact stretches far beyond what one soldier should ever carry. She became the answer to problems no plan could solve, the unseen guardian, watching from ranges most humans can't even imagine. Her legacy isn't parades or decorations. It's lives quietly saved, disasters prevented, operations that never made the news because one unseen bullet rewrote the outcome. Donovan often returned in his mind to that day in the armory, when he had nearly walked past her without a second glance. He had almost dismissed her as just another soldier with a rifle rag. He learned that day about humility and perception. That exceptional capability often hides in plain sight, waiting for the moment when the world needs it most. So if you've ever overlooked someone, only to discover they carried a strength or brilliance you never imagined, remember Aria Kane. The greatest warriors aren't always the loudest in the room. They are the ones preparing in silence, sharpening their edge, waiting for the call. Aria Kane didn't just make an impossible shot. She proved that at the edge of human achievement, when training, technology, and will converge, one soldier can change everything. If you believe hidden talent can shape history, share this story, because somewhere, someone is quietly preparing for the moment when their skill becomes the difference between mission